Hi folks, 98% of you who watch my content are not subscribed. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Hopefully you feel that I bring some value to your lives or to your ears while you're working or whatever you're doing. So please, if you wouldn't mind, just hitting the subscribe button would be extremely helpful to me to grow the channel as well. If you feel like throwing a like, that's also valuable, or putting down a comment. It boosts engagement. Much appreciated.
You were born, you are nurtured up to whatever you're 6, then you get sent in the kindergarten and school, and by the time you're 18, you come out and you go to college. By the time you get out of college, you get a job, and then you retire with whatever, 65 or so, and then you enjoy your retirement somewhere at a hot place, right? That's been the model of the past. That's not working.
That sucks though. Think about it, that's most of your life. Most of your life is spent working, where you spend an 8-hour day, if not more, because you were commuting in the car, right? And then maybe you're working extra hours as well. So let's say you're commuting an hour to work there and back, which is what most big cities are. That's 10 hours out of your day. You sleep for about 8, usually. So really you got 6 hours to yourself a week, and then your 2 weekends. Yeah, no wonder it's changing.
Absolutely not working anymore in every respect.
Go to school, get good grades, get into college, become a professional, and work your way up the corporate ladder until you can retire with your savings or a pension. That's the plan for a lot of people, and despite what a lot of hustle bros on the internet might tell you,
now that's f***ing insane.
It's a good plan if you can stick to it. 9-to-5 jobs are picked on a lot, usually by people that need a way to sell a get-rich-quick scheme. The standard 40-year professional career.
It's not even 9-to-5 jobs anymore, because 9-to-5 jobs are 7 or 7.5 hours, depending if you have an hour, an hour and a half, an hour or a half-hour lunch. Usually, it's something like 8 to 5, being a 8-hour day. Pretty much every place I work is 8, right? There's only like been one place that did 7.5, and it's usually some sort of like government place. It's never 7 hours though.
Has let millions of people enjoy very comfortable lives free from the stress that comes with being in business for themselves. But that is all coming to an end. In just the last 24 months, we have experienced quiet quitting, quiet hiring, work shortages, and labor shortages.
Quiet quitting? Is this like you just like don't show up? Is this like your desk is there? They're like, hey, what happened to Bob? Bob didn't come in today. It's like, Bob quit quietly, like he just didn't show up the next day. You know, that actually happened to me. I was training a new guy to replace me in a job when I was like, I think I was like 19. It was like my first real job before I went to college. And I was training this guy. He came for like, I want to say a week. And then he just didn't show up. just didn't show up the next day, next Monday. It's just done.
What a lot of people aren't talking about, though, is how this is just the result of companies still trying to make outdated business models work in an age where workers can demand more from their employers. The establishment of the 40-year career is crumbling, and there are some employers and employees that are doing a great job taking advantage of it, and there are others that are suffering.
Wait, how can employees demand more? Because previously, why couldn't you do that? Why can you demand more now? Is it because there's just more options? So you're like, well, these places are doing this and you're not, so screw you, I'm out. I'm going over there. Is that what's happening then? Because why would that change? It's only like some places would be like, well, we're offering frappuccinos free during the day. Just come down for your free frappuccinos. And people are like, well, I want frappuccinos and I want yoga classes at lunch or something.
The first trend is that despite pervasive stories about hustle culture and people making partner before the age of 30 while also building an outside business that dropships physical NFTs through the MySpace storefront, the average worker is not grinding. They are getting less ambitious. A Wall Street Journal.
That actually is not surprising. So a lot of places I worked, it is so freaking difficult to get people to do their own job properly, right? To do their own job properly, and or to take a leading position. So we're like, hey, we need someone to lead this project or lead this piece of work or whatever. And like people don't want to do it. It's rare. You know what's interesting? A lot of the foreign workers, because I work in IT, right? I think you guys know I'm in computer programming kind of space, software, anyways. And a lot of these guys come from India. Those guys coming here to work in North America, very happy. Generally, anyways. More happy to be like, oh, I'll take on that position, I'll do that. And then all the North American people are like, no, I just want to like do my base job and be done. I mean, you're all missing out. They're just going to climb the ladder on you.
Journal article surveyed a range of businesses in demanding fields that are usually staffed by ambitious workers like law, business consulting, and marketing. The companies all reported challenges with getting their employees to go above and beyond, which is really corporate speak for working late and coming in on the weekend.
Yep. That's a constant thing. The amount of times the amount of times I was asked to work extra hours when I was younger, which is weird. You would think I would want to do it. No, I didn't want to do it. I was like, no, I didn't want to come in. And people who were married were coming in on the weekends to work. And now that I'm older, and it's like now I'm doing the same thing where I'm like, whenever there's an opportunity to work, I'm generally like, yeah, I'll come in, I'll do it, I'll work.
A law firm told the Wall Street Journal reporters that typically they would have no problem getting junior associates to do extra hours to make sure time-sensitive work was completed for their demanding clients. But now, new associates have started saying no to working weekends and late nights, which is forcing the partners to bring on more staff and do the extra hours themselves. Which, let me say this, as a former investment banking associate that has put in my fair share of weekends to suck up to a partner, this is one of the most beautiful things I have ever heard.
It's wonderful. It's marvelous. I'm squeaked.
This kind of thing.
You know what I'll mention, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't listened to all my videos, but my ex is a lawyer now. So she went through law school, right? And I heard all the stories. Pretty much, I will say 90% or close to that range of women did not want to put in the extra hours, the extra work, and do what they're talking about. Do the extra hours to get ahead, make partner faster, etc. They don't want to. And I would say probably 50% of the men, just based on the 80 or so law students in her year. It's actually surprising. Even the men being like 50%. Did I say 80? I meant 50%. 50% of the men kind of didn't want to. They just wanted to like I want to get in, I just want to work, and I want to have a normal job. And 50% were like, I'm going to achieve, like, go high. So a lot of the women, funny enough, being the 90%, they go to the government jobs. They go to basically the ones where you don't make as much, but you're not really expected to work the overtime. It's just interesting. It's just very interesting.
Would never usually happen at places like this because elite legal and financial firms have an up or out policy with new associates, which means that within their first 2 years, they get promoted to senior associate or they get asked kindly but firmly to leave the firm. Unfortunately for the partners, they can't afford to get rid of new graduates because of worker shortages, so they have lost the threat of termination, and the reward of promotion isn't as appealing as it once was either. In the same article, an insurance firm told the Wall Street Journal of the difficulties they had been having with getting people to accept promotions. Managers often had to coax their staff into accepting more senior positions because the staff were preferring to stay in their current roles where they could manage their work-life balance. When workers...
That's the whole thing. That's the key word, work-life balance. Everybody's obsessed with that now. I am terrible at that. I am terrible at work-life balance. I will now, like in my life, I will just keep working and working and working. And like someone will have to tell me like, hey, stop working. And I'll be like, no. But if they tell me like a bunch of times, then I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I should. It's 10 o'clock.
Workers are more afraid of being promoted than being fired. It's a clear sign that things are changing. In 2020, millions of people who were never allowed to before started working from home. By avoiding the distractions of the...
I was already working from home at that point. So I had a leg up on those people. I'd already been like working from home for like an hour. For like a year and a half, I think, at that point. So I went through all the struggles by myself. So when all of you guys came in and started working remote from home and were like flipping out, I was like, get over it, guys. I've been doing this for a year and a half. Stop being wusses.
modern office, a lot of people realized that the tasks that they were completing as a part of their jobs were that of what the anthropologist David Graeber would consider complete bullshit. Most of the office jobs had workers performing tasks that fell into one of the following categories outlined in the book by the same name. Flunkies who only serve to make their superiors feel important, i.e. receptionists, administrative assistants, and doormen. You don't need someone to hold the door for you when everybody is working from home, and a sales platform switching board to do most of the day-to-day work of a receptionist. Box tickers who only exist to create the appearance something useful is being done, like creating company newsletters or organizing company culture events. And taskmasters, who exist to make themselves look busy by standing over their subordinates to keep them on task, but only ever end up distracting those workers or slowing them down because they themselves don't want to look like they have nothing left to do. Most jobs in the modern office involve doing some of these tasks, but by working from home, there's less need for them to exist. A lot of employees very quickly found out that they did not need 40 hours or more in the office every week to get their work done. They could just finish it in half the time, and all the other hours were wasted on pointless meetings that could have been an email and any of the other bullshit tasks that modern workers partake in.
Yeah, I know people don't like meetings, but personally, I generally like meetings. I think I like an email, then you end up back and forth emails because the person doesn't understand what you wrote, and then you have to clarify with them, and then they don't do it correct. I don't know. I think having a quick meeting is more efficient than an email. I guess it depends what it is, but I would say in general, I prefer to do the meeting.
Work from home did not get rid of the goons, who were people like corporate lawyers who only exist to protect the company from other goons, or the duct tapers, who are the people that spend all of their time fixing the problems of everybody else. So if you want bullshit job security, try and make yourself one of these. For the employees that found a whole lot
I'm definitely a duct taper. I am definitely a duct taper. Oh my God. Oh, and I even try to train the people after I fix it. I'm like, hey, maybe you should do it like this. They're like, oh yeah, uh-huh. Doesn't happen. Then I just see some other stupidness happen, and I'm just like, okay, I could take all 5 of you, replace you with one good person. Like literally, that's what could happen, and that one person who was good could do the work of these 5 people.
of extra hours in their day, they now had to decide what to do with it. An internal survey of 3,000 workers conducted by the software firm Qualtrics has shown what it was that people decided to do. 40% said that work had become less important to them in the past 3 years, and that they would prefer to spend the extra hours exercising, cleaning their home, going for a walk, or sleeping when they had the opportunity to.
See, I would agree with the exercise thing and the sleep thing. And that was big. Yeah, being able to work from home gave me more time to exercise, was just huge. Because when I finish work, basically at 4 o'clock, it is like straight to exercise. That's huge. But you got to be diligent because you're at home and you know you're going to pound that fridge. Whatever is in that fridge, you are going to eat it because you're at home by yourself and you're just trying to work. And you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of hungry now because whatever. And then you just go down to the fridge and you're like, oh. What's this, leftover takeout for last night? Tasty.
25% said that work had become more important to them and that they would look for additional responsibilities to take on in the spare hours.
See, for me, what happens is I can't actually stop working. Well, I think I mentioned that. And I'm like, because the work is always here. So I'm like, okay. I work and then I leave and then I'm like, oh, there's an email that came in. I'm going to go check it. Oh, I'm going to respond to this person, blah, 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 blah. And I got Teams and everything on my phone and Google Chat and blah. So it's just like people messaging me. So you just end up working more. That's what happens to me.
Most of all, 36% said that their career ambitions had waned and that the typical progression of climbing the corporate ladder had become less important to them over the past 3 years. Those are some pretty smart workers, and it was creating the same problem that the prestigious legal firms and investment banks were complaining about too. Most people are no longer willing to work extra hours and accept additional stress to chase a promotion, and a lot of workers won't even accept a promotion if they are offered one because climbing the corporate ladder is not as appealing as it once was. There are 4 reasons that business analysts have identified as the leading causes of this trend. The most damaging to traditional corporate culture is that people no longer see the financial benefits of moving up the corporate ladder.
What do you mean? But you get paid more. Or are people just happy? They're like, well, I'm making 75K, I'm cool. I'll top out at like 80, 85 or something, fine. Like they don't care that they could make like 100 or 110 or something. That's interesting. Because I think, isn't that, I just thought people are very money focused now. So I would think it would be the opposite, like they would want to climb. But I guess people, like we said earlier, are all about work-life balance, and going up the ladder just mean more responsibility and less work-life balance.
Typically, managers and senior executives earn more than their subordinates, but modern salespeople, tech workers, and tradespeople are bucking that trend, especially in high-demand industries. A lot of workers are preferring to reskill into an in-demand role, where they can earn variable compensation based on the overtime hours they put in and the performance they achieve.
Yeah, well, okay, that's like in my boat. So if I work OT, I get paid just time because I go in as a consultant. So I just get time. So whatever your hourly rate is, I don't get time and a half or times two or whatever like an employee. But then they don't mind if I work overtime. It's not even called overtime. It's just like extra hours.
People with experience in tech, pharmaceuticals, or finance could become managers, or they could cross-skill into sales and become salaried plus commission reps. They will get a lower base wage, but even average performers can earn $250,000 to $500,000 a year in commissions, putting them well ahead of any mid-level manager in the same industry.
Well, they said at Oracle, yeah, because, okay, that's Oracle. And I'm sure IBM and Google and Microsoft, yeah, all these big ones.
Doing a role where they are not responsible for the performance of any subordinates also means that they are free from the stress of dealing with workers who don't want to put in any overtime or work towards getting a promotion. Instead, they are only responsible for themselves and their work. If they want to make a lot more money one month, they can hustle like crazy and work on closing more sales or doing more overtime. If they want more work-life balance, they won't be letting down a team beneath them. Skilled, non-managerial roles in certain fields and sales roles are also safer during financial slowdowns as compared to middle managers. A company can operate without team leaders, but it can't operate if nobody is selling its product. For young workers who have lived through two big downturns during their careers, a job that is safe during bad times is more valuable than a job that pays a little bit more.
Yeah, like I've done both roles. I've done where you're a team leader or like the manager of a larger group of people, like I don't know, 10, 15. And then I've also obviously been just the person working, and it's like, yeah, you're pretty much always gonna be able to find the job just being the person working. But if you're managing the team, there's only like one of those per team, right? So it's a lot less, it's harder to do, but then less people want to do it. So I don't know. He says that, but I don't know. You need like people to like work on the high level plan and like keep stuff on track, make sure we're hitting targets, keep people accountable. The amount of people who can't keep themselves on task is insane. And it sounds like make work, but like when everything falls behind because people suck, I'm being so mean right now. A lot of people suck at their jobs. It's like their children, like they didn't learn how to manage their time and to like manage their workload and accurately estimate how long it's going to take them to do something. It's like, sure, if you're new at it, that you can, it's fine, like you're going to grow, but like these are people who have been working for like 10 plus years and it's like basic stuff they just can't do. It's whack.
Some really cunning workers have made junior jobs significantly more lucrative than managerial jobs by simply working two of them. Working from home has kicked off a new trend that is particularly popular with tech workers who work two full-time jobs with two companies simultaneously and take home two salaries. Entire online forums have sprung up in the past 2 years for workers to discuss this practice and share tips and tricks on how to find jobs that can be done in parallel and keep up with the workload once they've secured the roles. Some people on these forums claim to be working as many as 5 jobs simultaneously.
What? 5 jobs simultaneously? 2 sounded like a lot. 2 was like I was like, okay. 2, like, I'm assuming 8-hour days. You got 16 hours. There's, maybe not full overlap. Maybe you're doing 12 hours or something, or like 13, 14 hours. But I don't know how you do 5 jobs rather. Holy.
By committing 60 to 70 hours a week in their home offices. Just one job can be a lot of work, but highly experienced employees have claimed that the workload and stress of working 2 or 3 junior development roles is still less than working one senior development or team lead role.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, if you do like more of a junior role, then you're expected to do less. And you're doing it faster. But wouldn't they see you're doing it faster? Like, oh, this guy's getting it done like in this speed, so we can give him more work. I feel like that wouldn't work long term. Like they would just notice you're completing stuff faster. Or you just fake it. You're like, I will only complete it on the deadline. So you have it done, but you don't like hand it in. I guess you gotta fake shit.
For motivated workers that want to put in the hours, the multiple job route is more financially rewarding, and it provides them additional job security because if they get laid off from one job, they still have 1 or 2 salaries to fall back on.
Ever since COVID started, what we've seen is that candidates are really only taking remote or hybrid jobs. To be competitive in this market, companies really do have to be either hybrid at the minimum or provide remote work opportunities.
Reason number 2 is that modern workers have more entrepreneurial ambitions than the generations that came before them. The biggest selling point for young workers in the most prestigious firms in the country are not career advancements, but instead the exit opportunities. From my own experience at 2 different investment banks, most junior bankers do not want a career in investment banking, no matter how well compensated some senior bankers can be. Most banking analysts only want to work in the industry for 2 to 5 years and use that job experience to qualify as a role as a financial executive like a CFO for a medium-sized company or work in private equity or hedge funds. Or they want to start their own company armed with the detailed industry knowledge on how to raise capital from investors and structure a business for growth. The entrepreneurial spirit is not only alive and well amongst finance bros, the rate at which people report wanting to start their own business has shot up to its highest level ever. There were a record 5.4 million business ID numbers created in 2021, with 2022 expected to have broken that record further. Sometimes entrepreneurship is not all that it's cracked up to be, and I would encourage caution to anybody thinking of giving up a stable 9-to-5 job to start their own business. But smart decision or not, people are doing it. Caution be damned. The third reason people are...
Well, I mean, I have my own business as a consultant. I have to. So, but that's kind of like, you're kind of like an employee because you're just taking contracts or jobs with these companies, right? And then just like working there. So it's kind of a lot like it's very little difference. You just get more hourly rates, but you get less, you don't get any benefits. They don't pay your taxes. You don't get time off. So yeah, I mean, there's trade-offs. It depends. Do you like working? If you like working, just be self-employed. I don't know.
Willing to chase promotions is because it ironically makes it harder for them to progress their career. This is a tricky one, so follow along here. The best way for someone who only wants to work the 9-to-5 job to increase their salary is to change companies every 2 years. Employees that stick with their...
I've said this in other videos. You get some experience, you go to a new company, you make more money. It's ridiculous because every job offer you're going to be like, oh no, I want this. Oh no, I want this. Oh no, I want this, and you just keep bumping it.
Companies for longer than that end up earning a mind-blowing 50% less than their peers who were less loyal and were constantly shopping around for better offers from different employers. The real trick is to do this while maintaining a good relationship with the companies and managers they move between. Getting a promotion in a company resets the clock on when a smart employee...
I had the same manager, well, a director, I guess he's a director, or anyways, he moved positions. He was a director, and then he's a VP now, but he's hired me into 3 different job opportunities because I kept a good relationship with him. So he would hire me into a company, then he would leave like a year later or something, and then he would, because he knew I was good, he'd hire me to the next company, and then I get more money. Then he'd hire me to the next company. And I was just like, okay, I didn't even have to move. He's just like, I gotta go talk to him.
Can switch companies without leaving a bad impression with their current employer. If someone is planning to make the scheduled job hop, but they are only a month into their new role after receiving a promotion, they are unlikely to get a good reference from their outgoing company, because now that company has to find a new employee for a job that was only just filled. A bad reference from a frustrated ex-manager will make it harder to land the new job and negotiate a competitive salary. If the employee just stays in their current role and passes up any promotions, they can rely on a good reference from the same manager that they worked under the entire time. The fourth reason that people are no longer willing to work for a promotion is simply because they don't want them. More people are choosing mental health and free time over money and opportunity, because being removed from the corporate bubble has made them realize that there is much more to life than making as much money as they possibly can. A lot of young workers have become disenfranchised because they realize no matter how hard they work, they are going to struggle to achieve traditional financial goals like buying a house and having a normal retirement, so they are seeking out easy work and pursuing alternative lifestyles like video gaming or low-budget travel by living in a converted van. As more workers learn of...
You know, my aunt, who's like 65, bought a van to convert it, and then the cost to convert the van was so expensive that they just sold the van back. She was like, I'm not gonna do it. It's too expensive. I was like, okay, I don't know. I feel like it was like 20 G's.
These 4 reasons to reject the traditional career promotions, companies are going to have to face some big problems. Promotions are the biggest incentives that large companies have to motivate non-executive level employees to do more than the bare minimum to not get fired. The promise of a promotion, if targets are met, is often cheaper than performance-based bonuses. Some companies pay their executives extremely high salaries, not because of the hard work they do, but because they want all of their employees to work like crazy for the chance that they too one day could be a fat cat.
Of digital marketing, and you get offered a promotion that's in IT because digital marketing has a lot of technical skills, then should I step out into IT if my goal is to be the CMO? And the answer is no, right? So if it's going to take you off your long-term path, you don't want to do that.
Very true. Very true. Yep. You got to decide what your end goal is and just keep on that path. The amount of people I see who are like, yeah, I want to be, I don't know, like senior developer or something, and then they go down some like testing route, or they go into like business analyst position, or like, and then they're like, well, why did I do that? I wanted to get here. Now your experience is kind of like all over the place, which sometimes can be good, but it's like if you wanted to get to a certain role in a certain path, it's just slowing you down, usually.
If people don't want the promotions or see that they will never make it to the level where they make more money for less work, then the whole system stops working and it spells the end of the traditional career. Workers have also realized that hard work alone will never make them a CEO, and becoming a highly compensated chief executive requires a totally different strategy from what you might expect, starting with an engineering degree instead of a business degree people would expect.
Okay, I thought that was a really cool video. I mean, I think it's relevant to all of us, right? If you're working, which I'm assuming most people are working. But specifically, if you're any sort of like tech field or business, man, 9-to-5 jobs. Yeah. I've always had a 9-to-5 job. Even though I'm self-employed, I still, like, because I'm consulting, essentially, I always end up in a 9-to-5 position. Or 8-to-5 or whatever. I don't even know what it's like to not have that. That's wild to think about, actually. Well, hey, maybe this YouTube thing goes somewhere I can figure out what it's not like to have a 9-to-5. But then it's like, even if it does, wouldn't you just spend as much time or more just doing it anyways? I don't know. It seems weird. I figure you just work more. Huh, that's fine with me. I like working. All right, like and subscribe, please. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully there was some value in it for you, for everybody. I learned something, you learned something. And go get 5 jobs. So if you lose one, you still have 4. I don't know. All you remote workers.